Hey everybody, this is going to be the RevGEN Reply.
Yeah, so we're going to take the hottest news from the current week, anything revenue management related, hotel related, and we're going to put out a video, our RevGEN response. You can write in too and make some requests, and we'll make sure to get it in the next week's video.
Sounds good.
So what's the scuttlebutt, Daniel?
All right, so latest story, this just came out this morning, and this is huge in the hospitality world. Taco Bell is opening a hotel and resort. So I'm reading this article here on CNBC, and it says that for a limited time, Taco Bell is opening a hotel and resort based around the brand.
Good thing it's a resort, not just a hotel. That's important, Daniel.
Exactly. The Bell is the brand's latest appeal to its superfans who can buy Taco Bell themed apparel and have Taco Bell themed weddings, and reservations will open in June. So reading on, and we can cut this down. Reading on, Taco Bell's latest limited time offer isn't nacho fries, it's a hotel. The Mexican fast food chain is taking over a Palm Springs, California hotel and resort in its latest move to recognize the brand's superfans. So it sounds like they're taking over an existing hotel. So do you think that was an embarrassment for the guy who had to sell his hotel to Taco Bell?
Hey, that's a true value add right there.
Reservations will open in June and guests can start checking in August 9th. It's a little pre-sale action. The Yum Brands unit didn't specify how long it would operate the hotel. The Bell will feature a gift shop with exclusive Taco Bell themed apparel and an on-site salon with Taco Bell inspired nail art and hairstyling services.
Get a little taco face paint action or something.
Just kind of scrolling down here, moving through the article. It sounds like it's much more than just a hotel. It sounds like there's event space and all that good stuff. But
all right, so what does this mean, Daniel? I think the first thing this means is that anyone thinks they can operate a hotel.
I totally agree. It feels like every single company is in some way, shape, or form getting into the hotel space, which on this end is really funny. But it just seems like everybody's kind of rushing into hotels right now.
Yeah, I think it's like the hot space, and you've got a lot of travelers coming through, right? It's very transient, obviously being a hotel, so you get a lot of marketing exposure. So like we've seen this with Taco Bell. We've seen this a lot with like furniture companies, right? Restoration Hardware does a lot of like restaurants and event space, and then they furnish it. And then you've got West Elm in a lot of hotels now. So that's kind of obvious, and I think anyone sees it as an opportunity just to throw their brand, in your face, get that marketing exposure in something that's cool and fun, like travel. Do you think it will work?
I think for a brief while, yes. Honestly, I'm surprised they didn't open it up in like Vegas. They're opening it in Palm Springs. I think eventually like the novelty will wear off. I would stay in the Taco Bell hotel for one night just to say I did it. What about you?
I would definitely stay there. I think so if I were them, right, like what are some strategies you would do? I think like probably the easiest thing that I would do is say if you book direct, you get a free taco at check-in. Right?
Yeah.
Convert those
done deal.
OTA guests.
I'm already converted.
Their brand contribution is going to be through the roof.
I already don't need Bonvoy or H Honors anymore.
There you go. So that's an interesting thing too, right? For independent play, like, do you need to brand it with a major brand, or can you go after and say, hey, Taco Bell, do you want to partner? I'll operate the hotel for you, free marketing. Right, it's like I know a restaurant concept in New York City that one of my friends ran, and it was a Kellogg's cereal store, and the whole goal of it wasn't to make money, right? If they broke even, they were happy, but the like tremendous amount of social media that they were able to spin off of it, and then Kellogg's made a lot of money by selling cereal. So like, is this a opportunity for a hotelier to come in and say, right, hotels are expensive, can I partner with a Taco Bell, or can I partner with a a furniture company or whomever else that might fit or not fit, and say, hey, if you give me some money or you pay me a monthly fee, you get marketing. Right, I'm going to push your hotel through social media. We're talking about it. It's being picked up by CNBC. I think it's a pretty smart play, and I think we'll see a lot more of it.
For sure, yeah. Yeah. So Yum Brands, you've also got KFC in there. KFC hotel next, if this works out. Who knows?
Maybe.
Nice.
All right.
Cool. So that can kind of be like...
Yeah, send us your thoughts, comments. What did we miss?
What do you think about the Taco Bell hotel concept? And is it a game changer?
All right, what's next? What do we got?
All right, so next, a new Skift article. This came out a few days ago. The title of the article is New Skift Research Suggests Home Sharing Will Erode Even More Hotel Market Share. So
Airbnb, nobody's talking about this right now. This is
never heard
fresh off the press.
Never heard of these guys. So I'll read through the article a little bit. Skift Research launched its first market size estimate report on the U.S. passenger airline sector in January. We can cut all this down because I don't think this is relevant. Let's find like the... Oh wait, hang on.
There, and those are the main takeaways right there. Oh wait, no. What you'll learn. Hold on. It's more like that. Just read.
Okay.
That.
So we'll just cut out like that little section that just happened right there. Okay, so reading this article and this press release here a little bit. In addition, we break down short-term home rental market share in order to see how big the market is and how much it's impacting the traditional accommodation market. We estimate that alternative accommodations, short-term lodging in private homes or apartments, reached nearly $23 billion in revenue in 2018, accounting for 8.6% of the accommodation market. We expect the alternative accommodation segment to pass the 10% share mark in 2019 to generate $30 billion in revenue. So I think this kind of fits in with a lot of the like scare tactic articles about Airbnb and short-term rentals. But really, Bill, do you think that Airbnb is hoteliers' biggest threat, or do you think it's something else?
I don't know. We were with a lot of hotels. I don't think Airbnb is that big of a threat. I think they may be taking they may be growing their piece of the pie, but I think the pie overall is getting larger. So I think I think a lot of people, maybe especially millennials or international travelers that may have stayed home because hotels were too expensive or boring or whatever it is, are now seeing Airbnb as really cool and exciting, something new, something they could bring a group of friends to and stay. And so I think people I think it's growing travel. I don't really know if it's necessarily, tackling too much of the hotel space. I think at the end of the day, the hotel industry is still based off of corporate business travel. Yeah. And I don't really think Airbnb is biting too much into that space yet.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think so, because when I was younger, before Airbnb was around, like you're saying, I just didn't really travel and stay in hotels because I was either too young, they wouldn't let me stay because I was super young, or it was too expensive. So really, I think Airbnb is mostly just capturing like really, really probably younger people, and then maybe to an extent millennials, but I don't think that it's going to kill the industry like a lot of these articles say that it will. If anything,
it just creates a travel bug that I think, and especially I think as this generation, next generations get older, people just like to travel. And I don't think it's like I just do Airbnb or I just do hotel. I think it depends on why are you traveling? Is it work? Is it for fun? Are you traveling with a group where you need a home rental? Or are you traveling by yourself, or just your wife and you're going to stay in a nice hotel? Or I think it's just travel's big and the whole industry is growing. Yeah. Now with that said, I do think hotels are in a little bit of trouble.
Yeah. What the real industry killer probably is more so oversupply. So I pulled up another article that I thought tied right in with this, and it's from this North Star Meetings group, and it's hotel supply in the top 25 U.S. markets to outpace demand. And it really feels, especially like as revenue managers, it feels like supply has outpaced demand for at least the past 3 or 4 years. So just to kind of point out the markets with the largest hotel construction pipelines, at the end of 2018, in that number one spot was New York City. They have right now 171 new projects. That's almost 30,000 rooms. It's 29,457 rooms. That's followed in second place by Dallas. That's where we're based.
Woo!
Kriya RevGEN. A lot of supply coming our way. Dallas has 19,476 rooms, and then Los Angeles has 147 projects, coming out to a grand total of 23,404 rooms. So this is really, I think, if anything, the big trend. And there's one other article that we'll talk about here in just a second, or one other topic we'll talk about in just a second, as far as like the number of brands is also exploding. So I think this is probably more the real killer in the industry is oversupply.
Yeah, and so that's the headline, right? Like oversupply, and out of those markets, I mean, we work in New York, Dallas, obviously, Miami, LA, Denver, Boston, Houston. So all these markets that have oversupply, and we've been working in those markets for years, and just from like feet on the ground perspective, we notice it, right?
Yeah.
In terms of revenue strategy, like 2017, 2018 in a sense was easy. Like we would just push rate, like we knew we were going to beat last year. It was really just about like paying attention, and now it's a grind.
Yeah,
right?
for sure. Yeah.
So like take New York City for example. Like, what were you doing last year, and like, what are you doing this year that is so much tougher and different strategy?
Well, last year it just felt like, heading into a month, you already had so much base occupancy on the books already. Pushing rate was a lot easier. Especially just having that base occupancy. And this year, it's much more last minute. You have to be a lot more creative with your promotional strategy, with OTAs, wholesalers. Really, you have to use all channels at your disposal. And last year, it was, in a lot of ways, kind of like putting it on autopilot. It really wasn't difficult in New York City last year. But it just seems like with the new supply, you can definitely feel it starting this new year. Already, it feels like the new supply is here.
So do you think that means, right, like during the recession, that's kind of where the OTAs blew up. Everyone started playing with them heavily. Parity was like gone. People were just trying to get whatever they could. Like, are we going to face that again as people scrape for more rooms, or have hotels smartened up and they're going to be a little more? No. So you're going to say like it's back to like flash sales and
I think eventually. The more I think about it, I think that OTAs will kind of thrive in, like, if it comes to that, if there is like a market downturn or if there's oversupply or something like that. A lot of times that's probably where OTAs are actually going to make a killing, you would think, because right now with the economy is strong, the bigger brands, so Marriott and Hilton especially, their loyalty programs seem to be sticking really well. So right now it feels like the brands kind of have that upper hand, if you want to call it like the OTA war. It feels like the brands right now have a little bit of an upper hand, especially Marriott and Hilton.
Yeah, commissions are coming down.
Yeah, commissions seem to be trending down. Some of the OTAs sometimes kind of seem like they're backed into a corner a little bit. But I think, if the economy were to turn south a little bit, if corporate travel slows down at all, I think these kind of second tier brands that maybe don't have quite as strong of a loyalty program, they're almost going to have to fall back on OTAs and deeper discounted channels and things like that just to supplement their occupancy. So I think the OTAs are not going to go away. Maybe if we had another 10 or 15 years of crazy economic growth like we've seen, maybe the OTAs would finally be stamped out once and for all. But I don't think it's going to happen. I
think like the one thing where hotels have smartened up is, like, 10 years ago, Meta, Google wasn't as big.
Yeah.
And there wasn't as much, the consumers and also hotels themselves weren't paying enough attention to, like, this channel is priced at X and this one is Y. Right? They weren't as smart, so they would just find a channel and stick to it. And now everyone shops every single channel. So I think what we're going to see is people still playing, but playing smarter. So what I think what that means is, like, on the OTAs, you're going to see a lot more member rates, right? Through the brand channels and through Expedia. So you're going to target, like, loyalty, but not necessarily brand loyalty to a certain channel. So I'm going to target like my booking.com guests, and I'm going to give them a discount secretly under the table. I'm going to go to my Expedia loyal guests and give them discounts through mobile deals, member deals, international deals, right? Hotel Tonight, you could do the whole geolocation thing. So I think like the more specific you could get to discounts and like truly still able to get that incremental promotion out there without having to deteriorate your rate integrity is what's going to happen during the downturn, and you have to start playing a little bit more. So yeah, all right, so oversupply, it's here. You know, hopefully the economy stays strong and we can wiggle our way through it. But let's talk about the next article that is kind of nutso.
Yeah, so the next article would be, so IHG has released a new brand, and it's going to be called Atwell. And not to go on too much about this one, but it's kind of funny that they're adding another brand, right? Because IHG and Marriott, if you go onto their website, so for example, if you go to, just Google IHG, our brands, or Marriott, our brands, and see the pages.
But
it's
everyone. We're not like hating on one brand. Like, every major parent company is creating ridiculous numbers of brands.
Yeah, and so Atwell is just kind of another offering from IHG. And now that puts them, I think, at 17 brands now. So they have a ton of different brands, a lot like Marriott and Hilton. But that kind of ties in with the oversupply that we were talking about. So, all these brands have all these different hotels, and we were kind of talking about this before even this video. But I mean, why do you think that is? Why do you think that, for example, Marriott has a JW Marriott as well as full service Marriott versus Hilton, and then
so
Kriya.
I think the obvious answer is kind of goes hand in hand with the economy strong and so much supply and so much money out there to build hotels is like every market is saturated. Like there is a Hampton in every good market. So and that's great. That makes sense. But I think then what happens is, hey, demand is still there. We have a Hampton on every corner. So what's our answer? Well, we have to now create a True, and now we can put a True on every corner. And again, we're not picking on one brand. They're all doing this. But I think, in my opinion, what is happening is you can take a powerhouse brand like a Marriott, a Hilton, an IHG that has extremely strong loyalty, and that's why you want to franchise with them, right? You want to build a Marriott because you're going to get great brand contribution. But what happens when you've got 12 Marriott brands on your block? Is now your brand contribution is diluted across 12 hotels. So is it as, like, I don't know, going forward, is the brand, even if the brand is strong, is your one hotel going to be strong? Because now you have to share the wealth. And then, the other thing is, I think, like, at the end of the day, brands are just becoming OTAs. Because now you go to Marriott.com, you go to Hilton.com, Wyndham.com, wherever, you see 15 hotels. So where's, the value add is there for the consumer because they've got so many options, but is the value still there for an owner or franchisee?
Exactly.
So let me ask you one more question. So, right, let's just run a hypothetical what we think is going to happen. Like we revenue manage every scale, lots of different brands. In a market with oversupply, without necessarily like picking on certain brands, like what do we think? What do we think? Like who's going to win? Who's going to survive? Who's going to get burned? And like if there's a certain rate threshold, like what do you think that looks like?
Just kind of like over the next.
So like downturn comes and we've got a million brands out there and a million hotels. How does it fall into place? So
I actually read, and this just popped into my head, I just read this really good article a while back, and it was actually released by Deloitte, and it's called The Great Retail Bifurcation. So really what it's talking about is how brick and mortar retail stores are basically splitting. And they're splitting, and they're either going super, super high end, or they're going super, super low end. And so you can see this already with like, retail stores, right? So like a lot of like J. Crews are closing, but then you have, like lower end stores like Old Navy or, all over the place, and you have like the super, super high end. I think basically we'll see kind of the same thing in hotels. So I think if there were to be a really big economic downturn, I think that the Marriotts and the Hiltons of the world are going to fare just fine. But I think the big question mark is what happens to like that 2 to 3 star service level in the select serve properties. I think what's going to happen is that in the event of an economic downturn after all this oversupply, there's probably going to be a whole lot of distressed inventory constantly. So what happens to the Wingates of the world, the Baymonts of the world, and that sort of thing? Even though you have these brands that are right now really trying to strengthen their loyalty programs, I think at the end of the day, with that many rooms to sell, they're probably going to have to fall back to the OTAs of the world again. So I think what happens is, and this kind of ties in with what we were talking about earlier, how OTAs might fare better in a negative economic situation, is I think really that the OTAs eventually maybe they become just kind of this marketplace for distressed inventory primarily, and then you're going to have all these brands that have thousands and thousands of rooms that are distressed. I think that's kind of where it's headed. I think it's going to split to to your hotel inventory is going to be distressed or it's going to be high end. I don't think there's going to be this nice like middle.
Yeah, I agree. So like the way I see it is like the new product, strong brand, upscale segment, like they'll survive. They'll do fine, right? There's still going to be some corporate travel, and they're all going to go there. And then all these mid-scale hotels are going to fall to that economy price point.
Exactly.
Right. So if an economy hotel's say $59 a night, they can't really go any lower.
Yeah.
And then what happens is, the 2-3 star hotels are now at like 79. Like, what happens there? There's no more room to play. I think everyone just cuts costs and goes wild on OTAs and hopes things get better, I guess.
Exactly. Yeah.
That doesn't sound very fun.
It does not. No.
So everybody just chill out on the building. Let's
just pump the brakes.
Take a little breather.
Pump
right?
the brakes a little bit.
Let's let demand catch up. Make our lives a little easier.
Yeah, that would be wishful thinking, but we can ask. We can at least ask, right?
Yeah.
Cool. So. All right. Well, this has been episode 1. So hopefully there were some fun takeaways. I will link the articles that we talked about together in the description of the video. And if you guys have any questions, send them our way so we have something to talk about.
We're gonna monitor like the hot news throughout the week, but if you find an interesting article, send it over. I guess you could send it to
send it to our YouTube, send it to our LinkedIn, LinkedIn/Kriya RevGEN, or just search for us, Kriya RevGEN on LinkedIn. Send stuff our way.